Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Friday Charge. As always, we are your hosts, Joel and Sebastian. And for today, June 6th, 2025, we've got a handful of topics to discuss. Ford's recalling around 30,000 vehicles. Let's see here. Rivian's adding some new stuff to their vehicles. And there's a couple more topics we'll talk about. So without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, first topic of the night. The Polestar 4 is finally launching in the US. Yay! Sorry.
Let's go Polestar.
So as of this week, Polestar is officially selling the Polestar 4 in the US as a 2026 model year vehicle. The 4 was unveiled back in 2023 and went on sale in Europe in 2024. However, it faced delays in the US due to a uncertain political climate. The 4 sold in Europe is built in China. However, the US cars will be built in South Korea. The 2026 model will start at $56,400 in the US, which will get you the long-range single-motor variant, good for 300 miles of range, a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and a peak DC fast charge rate of 200 kilowatts. The car can be optioned up to nearly $78,000, which gets you an extra motor, so extra power, up to 544 horsepower. You lose some range, 270 miles of range on that version. The Polestar 4 is the unique one that does not have a rear window at all.
Yep, it does not. I'm looking at it right here. If you look at this yellow picture there, it's all yellow.
Instead, you use the cameras for your rear visibility, which may be cool. I don't know. Yeah. I was like, I use a digital rearview mirror already, so I guess it's not much different than what I do now. But I don't know.
I'm assuming there's a NHTSA policy that says you have to have a back window.
I guess not.
Got to have rearview mirrors, but no back window. Interesting. Okay, cool.
I mean, it's like the Cybertruck with the vault, right?
You got a point
how you can close it, and then you have a mirror that you can't use.
Yep.
Car that needed a rearview mirror camera but didn't have one. Anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm like, I guess I'm already used to it, and this isn't the first time. But it was like, I guess you can't like look over your shoulder.
Yeah.
You can't do the turn and peek or anything like that.
You can't give it the good old or one of those. Yep. So
yeah, it is interesting. I like the way it looks. I think it looks pretty cool. It's a little expensive, maybe, but at the same time, I guess it's about where a Polestar usually sits. Interesting that they're going to be building them in South Korea.
We know why.
Yeah.
So it looks like the price is up $1,500 from the original. It's still going to be subject to the 25% tariff coming out of South Korea for however long that lasts. So maybe that's the $1,500. I mean, maybe that helps offset some of the costs, but yeah, I mean, it kind of, if you look at the screen here, it kind of gives off some Model Y vibes, don't you think? A little bit,
yeah.
The way the front and the back go together, kind of like the little indentation there. It looks like an indentation, doesn't it? I guess that's for some aero stuff on the bottom of the doors, the passenger and driver side doors. I kind of like that, or just maybe the way I'm looking at the picture here. But yeah, it looks like a pretty cool car. We drove a Polestar, so I mean, if you like Volvos, Polestar, I mean, the one we drove had great software. So yeah, I can't wait to see some of these on the roads. Hopefully we'll see them on the roads, but who knows? And hopefully we'll start seeing them here soon.
You gotta show something real quick.
Uh-oh.
Screen.
Sebastian's thinking.
It's actually kind of more of almost has that more sedan shape to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You're right, it does.
I guess I hadn't fully realized that yet. It also, you can tell, it kind of has some of the body lines that you see kind of on like the Zeekrs sold in China, which makes sense. They're all owned by Geely Group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, it's a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is only doing up to, say, on the big one, 270 or 300 miles. Seems a little weak that the average efficiency would be 3 miles per kilowatt hour. And it's only 200 kilowatt peak DC fast charge speed. Yeah, now, of course, peak doesn't really matter if the curve is okay, but it still doesn't. it's hard for me to believe this is the same company that's also building these golden brick batteries that will charge, 75 kilowatt hour battery packs in 10 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just hard to see that's the same company.
And you have to think, what the Model Y is a 77 kilowatt hour pack.
Something like that. 80,
and you get
yeah.
a 77, 80, and you get 320 miles. So, yeah, I mean, maybe this don't have the chemistry right, or I don't know. It looks pretty aero, so I don't know if the aero would be the issue. So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what the issue would be.
It is interesting. I was trying to see if there's a good picture of the inside, because, I mean, that's the...
Let's see if I have one.
Oh, do I have to click on this? No. Okay, we don't get to look at the inside. Whatever.
So. It just has those pictures of the driver's side. It looks like it still has that crampness that the Polestar 2 has. That kind of tight fitting. If you're looking at, I can share my screen now. We're just swapping screens here. You'll see it has that tightness again that it looks like the Polestar 2 has as well.
But you do get 2 screens, which is nice.
Yes, you do. Air vents, very minimalistic, like the Tesla. Again, you get the air vents, you get the charging pad with the middle dial. So, yep. Pilot assist system can steer the car within its lane, change lanes, and adjust its speed to the cars ahead. So I guess they call it pilot assist.
It's the same system that Volvo's using on like the EX90 and the EX30. Actually, the EX30 system is technically different because it's the Chinese version of the system, technically. For better or worse.
Sebastian's got himself a big gulp today, looks like.
Sorry.
What's next?
Moving on. Ford is recalling nearly 30,000 F-150 Lightnings. In a filing of NHTSA, Ford is recalling 29,501 F-150 Lightnings across the 2024 and 2025 model years. The recall is due to a potentially improperly torqued nut on the ball joint of the front upper control arm. This could potentially lead to a situation where the joint separates from the control arm, causing the driver to lose control of the vehicle because, the wheel fell off.
You don't want that to happen.
Ford only expects around 1% of the trucks included in the recall to have this issue. There has only been one report of an actual incident related to the recall. In March of this year, a 2024 model was brought to a dealership after a front wheel, quote, failed while driving. So, not really a whole lot else to discuss on this. If you have an F-150 Lightning and you're in that 2024, 2025 model year range, maybe go ahead and get this checked out sooner rather than later. It seems like the type of deal, from what I've seen online, it would be a pretty easy thing to kind of self-verify too. Turn the wheel sharp so you can see behind it and find the nut. If it moves under your finger, that's bad. If it doesn't move under your finger, it's probably okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like they're going to start sending letters out. They're going to be notified by mail for need to go in for an inspection. I guess if it's faulty, they'll fix it. And if it's not faulty, they'll send you on your way.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Rivian is adding some key charging features to their vehicles. So this week, Rivian started rolling out its latest software update, 2025.18. And its big focus seems to be battery-related improvements. For starters, there's a new energy app, and it gives you a new look at your consumption, as well as adding the ability to
manual precondition.
Not just when en route to a charger.
Yay.
The new energy app also allows you to see the charge curve of your vehicle while you are charging.
There it is.
The update also comes with improved charging times for certain models. On Gen 1 vehicles with Max Pack, you get an improved 10 to 80 time, as well as a better charging curve around not a better charging curve, but you get your charging curve on a wider band of temperatures. So it's less susceptible to those some of those extremes. On Gen 2 vehicles, they all receive improved charging across the temperature band, with an improved 10 to 80 for the standard and max packs. Gen 2 large packs also get an improved 10 to 80 time, and they get an increased peak charge rate of up to 215 kilowatts.
Mm-hmm.
This update also brought in a couple other little things, like I think it added the ability, which I think is an interesting feature. multi-factor authentication to drive. I struggle to see why you would need that. I guess if you're worried about someone stealing or cloning your keycard, because it's similar to pin to drive, which I know you can do on Tesla, except it requires you to have basically your keycard or your key or your phone, and then you have to scan a QR code on the radio before you can drive. And the QR code interfaces with the Rivian app to verify that you are you. I don't know. It's an interesting, complicated feature to me.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, have there been issues of people cloning Rivian keycards and stealing Rivians?
Does Rivian have pin access like Tesla has? I don't know if they do.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, that would be just an easy fix to make it a pin access, and then you don't have to worry about all that other stuff.
Right. Yeah, I
do like. I'm excited about this. They also said in the Inside EVs article here that the future update will be vehicle to home functionality, so that will be in the future as well. So I'll be curious to see what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, just Rivian's updating their cars and their softwares. It's a minor tweak, but we'll take minor tweaks over no tweaks at all.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nissan has given us a little more info about the new Leaf. So this was this week, of course. We got a smidgen more info. For starters, as we already knew, the Leaf is no longer a hatchback. Instead, it is now a small crossover. The new Leaf has a lower coefficient of drag compared to the outgoing models, with the European models achieving 0.25 CD and US models at 0.26. The outgoing model was at 0.28. The cars are gaining flush door handles, new wheels, and a flat underbody to help achieve these numbers. The new Leaf is based on the same platform as the Nissan Ariya and is expected to have around 370 miles of range in the WLTP cycle, so I would expect closer to like 300 in EPA range testing.
And one of those 302 numbers, something like that.
Yeah. Nissan hasn't given us much of a peek to the interior, but they did show off that the car will be available with an electrochromic roof. And Nissan claims they did this because it helps with headroom. Because they no longer have to build in space for a shade, which I thought was an interesting reason to give. You could have just said because it's cool.
Yep. I mean, you can see a little picture here in the middle of the screen. It's tiny. It will not let me go bigger of kind of what the roof looks like with not a chromatic. You can see that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's cool too. You can't see it because it won't go bigger. I'm glad you have that issue. I also have that issue when I look at electric articles on my computer.
It tells you it says hit this button to make it bigger, but it won't go bigger. So yeah.
Yep. You can also see on that picture though that it looks like it has like the word Leaf written on it, and it's part of the electrochromic tinting, which is kind of neat. And it looks like you can do multi-stages, so you don't have to have the whole thing on or off.
Yeah, in this picture here, it looks like it's the back is covered and the front is not. Right. Or is it? I can't tell. That may be it, or maybe vice versa. Who knows? So
yeah.
So, but yeah, cool. I like this color down here. It's I mean, the Leaf. Everyone thought the Leaf was dead. And it looks like the Leaf is coming back to right, and it looks like they're saying it may start in around 28 to 30,000, maybe. So we'll see. I mean, if it is, that's pretty big. I mean, we drove a Leaf. It was okay-ish. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of excited about it. There's videos. Yep.
I do have some concerns with it being built on the same platform as the Ariya, because there are some things on the Ariya that need improvement. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hopeful that maybe Nissan does those improvements for the new Leaf and doesn't just kind of slap the same powertrain in and not change. Because like the Ariya doesn't have one pedal driving, for example. Mm-hmm. It does regen, of course, but it doesn't one pedal. It also has some weird thermal stuff for like charging in the cold where it just basically doesn't. It does, but you're pulling like 30 kilowatts or something instead of whatever the peak is supposed to be. And then the same thing in the summer. It has the same struggle with kind of charging performance, it seems. The Ariya does at least have a liquid-cooled battery pack, which is already an improvement over the outgoing Leaf.
And it says here, built-in NACS support as well.
Yep. We're going native NACS.
I love it. So, yeah, I like it. I mean, I don't know how it drives, don't know what it's going to be like charging or anything like that, but kind of digging the design. Nissan is really going through a design of all their vehicles right now. I mean, they've redesigned the kicks, they've redesigned the Murano. They've kind of I'm glad they did it because a lot of the vehicles get a little long in the tooth with design. But if you look at go past a Nissan dealership lately, you'll notice all their 2025s models are all now totally redesigned, which looks really cool. I mean, I saw a Nissan Murano and actually thought it was an Aria just by the way it looked in the front, but it actually wasn't. So pretty cool. Yep. Interesting.
All right. Well, I'm trying to think.
We didn't drive anything this week, but we had some stuff come out. We didn't drive
anything this week. We did have some stuff come out.
Yep.
We released our review of the Cadillac Vistic, which we can talk about a little bit. Go watch the video. Solid offering for the third row EV space. You know, not a huge space right now, although it's growing pretty rapidly. Makes sense.
The baby Escalade is what we called
it.
The
baby Escalade. Super Cruise didn't work for us, which was a bummer.
Womp womp.
Super Cruise usually works really well for us, but man, on that one it was having.
And what was the reason why?
Well, I don't know.
I thought you found out. Never mind.
Well, I had some speculation.
Yes.
And I had some others who speculated with me, but we don't know for certain. We thought it could be an incident where it was dirty, like there might have been off-gassing in the camera housing, something that was causing it to not see as well, or it wasn't aligned properly, things like that. Because we got the error while we were trying to use Super Cruise in the middle lane of the interstate. It kept saying we couldn't activate it because we were traveling in the exit lane.
Yep.
Which we weren't. But then later it worked fine. And because we had so many issues with it, we actually didn't call this out in the video, and I meant to throw a clip in there, and then didn't. The Vistic is the first GM vehicle to support actual lane centering.
Oh, okay.
All the time, hands-on lane centering. Previously, you only got lane centering in Super Cruise. Otherwise, you just got lane keep, and then it was, ping-pong between the lines. The Vistic actually supports hands-on lane centering outside of Super Cruise as long as the car can see 2 lane lines. But we didn't get to try that out and get to experience it because ours was having some issues. But yeah, I mean, it was a good space, good tech, other than the Super Cruise issues. Everything felt nice on the inside, or at least I thought it did. And so, yeah, was super pleased with it, actually. I still like the EX90 more, though.
Yeah, I mean, we were very impressed with all of Cadillac's EVs. I mean, we did all 3. Check out all 3 reviews. Escalade, Optic, Vistic, and Lyric. So all 4 of them are are all uploaded and loaded for you to watch. But yeah, they all rode really well. We didn't have any major glitches or software issues, except for this one. We had issues with lane centering in Super Cruise, but we didn't have any issue with any other Super Cruise and any others that we tried. All the other Cadillac models too as well. So maybe it was just just a weird thing. But yeah, I mean, like I said before, I would definitely consider buying a Cadillac as my next EV. Just design wise. I mean, it's weird when you look at the Optic. It's built on the same platform as the Equinox, but yet I don't see very few similarities between the two. So
yeah, which the Optic is still my favorite.
Yeah, the Optic is still my favorite too. And when you look at it, you're thinking that can't be an Equinox, but because it just looks like a baby Lyric is what it looks like. So yeah, still one of my favorite too. I totally agree with that. So and then Wednesday, what did we talk about on Wednesday, which was a hot topic?
Yeah, Wednesday we talked about how New Jersey has forced Tesla to decommission and remove all of the Tesla superchargers along the New Jersey Turnpike. Which, man, after seeing the events of today, I'm not going to get into that right now, but I made a comment during the interview about how Tesla probably has a hard time getting a lot of sympathy from politicians right now, or getting politicians to say that they'll help them, because half the country hates them and half the country doesn't.
Yep.
And after today, the percentages are shifting.
Yes. If you want a good X feud or Twitter feud, just log on right now, see what's going on. So,
or don't, because honestly, like the fact that that's where we're at in our country is a little concerning. But I digress.
Yep.
Anyway,
yep. So if you like drama, log on. Just check it out. Just see what you find. It won't take you long to figure it out. But yeah, check it out.
But anyway, the moral of the story is 3 years ago, which this would have been before all of this stuff happened, New Jersey was looking for a company to take over operation of the service plazas on the New Jersey Turnpike because the state didn't want to do it anymore. And they ended up selecting an Irish company, Apple Green, to do it. Apple Green, their whole business model is managing travel plazas. That's what
They're
they
like
do.
they're like the Loves of the UK, basically.
Yep. Their
Yep.
whole thing is travel plazas. That's their
Mhm.
bread and butter, restaurant, all that.
Yep.
And so in the course of this 3 years, Apple Green decided, hey, we can install our own EV chargers.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. And they said, Tesla, we don't want you here.
Yeah. So yeah, we go really in depth on the video. We talk about it and things like that. But what it irks me a little is a lot of the comments we've been getting are people are mad at the state of New Jersey. The state of New Jersey had nothing to do with this. They just sold off the service centers. That's all they did. And then the new company, they're the one who made the decision. And as a business owner, they're allowed to. Is it good for EV drivers? No, but it's a business decision they're allowed to make. So Tesla could have bid for them if they wanted to, and got in the service center business or the travel center business, but maybe they didn't, or they got outbid, but who knows? But
yeah, it's an interesting kind of, because there's a lot of different angles on it, and I don't necessarily know that any of the angles are wrong.
Yep.
There's the angle of, well, it's never good to remove infrastructure, which I completely agree with. We need as many EV charging plugs as we can get. And going in and removing, 8 Tesla superchargers per each one of these stations, just because sucks.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, Tesla didn't open those to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Those were Tesla only superchargers, even though they were all V3 stations.
Mm-hmm.
And should have technically been able to at least been compatible with EVs using an adapter or EVs with native NAC ports, but they weren't. Yep. Tesla could have at any point over, the last 3 years or before install Magic Docks on those stations, but they didn't.
Yep.
So part of this push from Apple Green in New Jersey is to install universal EV charging at these locations. So chargers
higher speed chargers.
Right.
These are 400 kilowatt stations they're putting in.
And that's the other thing too, is, even if Tesla had gone through and put Magic Docks in, because there's been such a delay on deploying actual V4 cabinets, that would still leave a crappy experience for anyone in an 800 volt car.
Yep. I'd rather charge my EV6 at an Apple Green one and get 230 kilowatts compared to 97 that I get at a Tesla.
Right. Yeah. But then you see the other aspect of, like, Apple Green is a business. They're allowed to do what they want.
Yep.
If Apple Green is now in control of all these service centers and they decide they want, I made the analogy in the video of, if Pilot Flying J has a gas station, they're not going to let Valero have 4 gas pumps and sell Valero gas at those 4 pumps on their site. Without Valero having to buy their own land, build their own service station. It could be right next door.
Yeah.
But Pilot Flying J is not going to let them do that.
Yeah. And they have all control. They can control the food. They can control everything about it. If they have Dunkin' Donuts now, they decide they don't want them anymore and they want Starbucks, boom, buy Dunkin', hello Starbucks. Totally up to them. So.
Yep. But anyway, so, there's that aspect. And then there's the aspect too of just, does Apple Green then, once Tesla removes superchargers, say, hey, cool, look at all this conduit that's already there and transformer that's already there. Boom, let's add these stalls. Yep. But anyway, there's a lot of back and forth on that. There's a lot of different angles, and we cover a decent amount of them in the video. There are some wrong angles, which are that, it's not necessarily a deal of corruption. It could be. I don't know, but probably not. There's some wrong angles that, they're only doing this because they're mad at Elon, but yet it was 3 years ago. So
before all this happened.
That's probably also wrong. Anyway, so yeah. It's a decent discussion. Pretty good discussion. Go check it out.
Yep. And I think that's a wrap.
All right. Well, that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. Be sure to subscribe to the EV Geek Podcast on YouTube and tap the notification icon to be notified about new releases. Next week, we will release our review of the Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV. If you guys have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments below because we would love to hear from you. So long, everyone, and we will see you on the next episode of The Friday Charge.